Going live. Hello, welcome to the show. We are back with the Impact and Influence Author Show. So happy you're here. Listen, don't forget, if you're out there and you're watching the show and you are an aspiring author, or you are a seasoned author, or just a new author, and you love the opportunity to come on our show like our handsome guest we have here today, make sure you reach out to me. You can either reach out to me in messaging by, any kind of way that you can, just reach out to me. Or you can give us a call at 678-888-5599, and we'll talk to you about how you can get on the show and promote your books as well. Because our job is to make sure we give exposure to as many authors as we can. And as you know, we bring some wonderful people on here with great books. The other thing that's very important for you to know when you're viewing this show, because it may be your first time, is that the Impact and Influence Authors Show is just that. It's a show that's formatted to impact and influence lives for positive change through the wonderful authors you meet, like the guest I have today, which is Ronnie Lackey Jr. Hey, Ronnie, how you doing today?
All right, and yourself?
I am doing great. Thanks for asking. Well, I hope you had a great Valentine weekend. I actually was officiating a wedding yesterday, so it was a beautiful time for me. How was your Valentine?
It was pretty good. We hung out with the family. We
Okay.
cooked nice dinners, cooked some chocolate strawberries and stuff like that.
That's one of my favorites. You know what's interesting about that too, that you would say that, is that one of the things that we talked about yesterday too is just the power of love. We look at Valentine's Day as a day to show love to that significant other, but really it's a chance to show love to your family and your friends, and to come together and just make it, it's power in love. Let me just put it that way. So speaking of that, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the power of family and love and those connections in regards to your book, Growing Up in It. But before we get to your book information, I definitely want my viewers to learn a little bit about who you are. So tell me, who is Ronnie Lackey Jr.?
Hi, I'm Ronnie. I was born in Trenton, New Jersey, raised in Decatur, Georgia. 44, raised by a single mother. Got two sisters and a younger brother. And after that, I graduated from Avondale High School on Decatur, and then I went to the Navy. I served for 8 years in the United States Navy. I'm married.
Thank you for serving our country.
No, thank you. I'm married to my lovely wife. We have one child. My wife's name is Nicole, and my daughter's name is Rihanna. And we recently, last year, bought our first home. So we're happy homeowners, and like I said, I just wrote my first book. I've always written poetry, and I figured, it's time for me to stop just using it for my personal goods and helping me out with my wife and writing special notes to her while I put my talents to other uses.
Awesome. So you're taking that skill of writing from poetry to a book, and that book is called Growing Up in It. Now, tell me, let's talk about that title. What is Growing Up in It all about? And there's that book, guys. Want to make sure you get it. Nice view of this book. I love the picture on here. You actually remind me of one of my grandsons that's 5. He'll be 6, really, actually next month. But what is Growing Up in It about?
Growing Up in It is about a young boy, my experience in a domestic violence situation. My mother going through her domestic violence situation. It's all the things that I saw and how it affected me. And I feel that that's a strong point that, even individuals that's in domestic violence, if they knew that what their child is actually experiencing, I think a lot of individuals will actually get out the situation before they actually do.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I agree with you on that. So let me ask you, what is the message that you really, really would love for people to? Well, actually, before I ask you that question, let me ask you this: what did that effect of you growing up in and dealing with your mom and domestic violence in the home? How did that affect you as a kid? That's the first part of the question. And secondly, how did it affect you as an adult?
Um, as a child, it made me, because I was a mama's boy. You know, she called me man from the jump, and it made me grow up fast.
Okay.
Because my mom called me man, and I always saw myself as the man of the house. So I kind of took that role as the man of the house. Like, okay, when this is happening, I took the responsibility that it was my job to do something about it. So I actually just grew up real quick.
Wow.
And took a lot of responsibility on myself. And in the book, you will see the battle that I had within myself, you know, without anyone knowing, you know, because this is a book that was just inside of me that I never spoke of for years. You know, I married my wife, and my wife didn't know the extent of everything, you know.
Wow. Okay.
And growing up, as an adult, it just always made me a very protective. You know, I'm protective over all the women in my life, my mother, my sister. If you're close to me in my life, I assume that protection role over you, you know, and I don't want to see anything happen bad to you. And it just gave me a better insight to, you know, how to actually treat a woman, you know, as far as, you know, there's nothing that a woman can say to me that would make me put her hands on her. Make me
Well, you
put
know,
my hands on her.
that's good to hear, Ronnie, because I hear so many men. Even one of my really, really good friends, he's like a brother to me, and we actually did a play production called Tricks of the Enemy, which portrays a lot of things that happened in his story. And one of the scenes where I played the mother, and he was probably around the age you were when all this was going on. And in the scene, he says, "Mom, when I grow up, I'm not going to hit my wife like Dad hits you." And the mother goes, "You promise, honey?" And he's like, "Yes, ma'am." But my friend Will Smith, hey Will, love you. He actually grew up to be an abusive husband, even though that's not something he wanted to do. But that pattern and what he grew up affected him differently, even though he didn't see himself doing that as an adult. But of course, he he got over that whole situation. A wonderful person, has had, you know, I think he's been married twice and has had better the first marriage. That's where abuse was, and then he had an encounter with God and had to understand how do you love a person the proper way, and so it helped him to become a better man and deal with that because that was something he did not want to do. So in your case, you took it and you took on the role of being that protector, and you saw yourself even from a child up to an adult. From what I'm hearing you say, is that it made you feel that you had to be the protector for every woman that you cared about, you know, friend, family member, or whatever. And that's a lot of responsibility to carry. And for a child, and then growing up into your adulthood, it's a good thing that you know, you went down that path. But when you're a kid, that's a lot to carry to feel like you have to be the protector, especially at 10 years old. So when you had stepped into that role, did you ever feel overwhelmed? Did you ever feel like you couldn't really protect as much as you wanted, or what was going through your little mind?
I battled with myself throughout the whole thing. There were times where I internally I battled with myself because I felt like I failed. Like I say, it's a couple of instances in the book where you'll see where I'm directly talking to myself as, hey, you failed, you know, this happened on your watch, you know, stuff like that. And but you know, I felt like, you know, with me, my mom, I always looked at the situation as my mom gave a good foundation, you know, as far as right and wrong. And I'm a real simple person. I think of stuff as simple as possible. as far as that, so when I think of stuff, I think of what's right and what's wrong, or how it would make me feel, or how I feel in certain situations. And that's what I try to do, no matter what situation I'm in. Because to me, honestly, I don't like when people say you're a product of your surroundings. And that's what, because if that was the case, I would be abusing women. But to me, I knew from a young age what was right, what was wrong. I understood how it made my mom feel. I saw it. I understood how it made me feel. And when I look at situations, that's how I look at it. I think it's the harder road to take. And absolutely, it's harder to do that. It's easy to say, hey, this is all I know. This is what's in front of me. So I'm just a product of my environment. That's the easy route to take. But my mom always challenged me to not just do what's easy, not just do what everybody else is doing. Buck the system.
Hey, I hear you. So how did what you experienced, how did it or did it impact the way that you parent? Because I know you're a dad, you say you have one child. How did it impact the way that you are with your child?
I don't, as far as me now as an adult, I don't even really think it really harms me or hinders me in any way. Because like I said, I just think of what I do in certain situations. Because like I was a single parent, and people would say, hey, it's kind of hard to be a good father when you didn't have a father. No. My father, I used to say he didn't teach me a lot, but then now as I got older, he taught me a whole bunch. He taught me what not to do. And that's another way to look at stuff. I know what not to do. So in that instance, even if I don't know the right way to do it, I know exactly what not to do. And that's how I look at certain situations that I don't understand or I don't really truly know how to do. I know exactly what not to do. So I'm just not going to do that.
Good. That's good. Good advice. So let me ask you, when it comes to what you really, really want people to take away from your book, what is it that you want them to take away when they read your story and they read growing up in it? What do you want them to really experience or take away?
Okay, the first thing that I would like for individuals to experience when they read in a book, if you're in that current situation, especially if you have a child, I want you to, take what I'm saying as that child and think of it as your child and see what that child can actually be going through. Because I feel deeply in my heart that even in your situation where you're being harmed or your self-esteem is low, I've always known strong Black women, and I always known strong women. When it comes to their kids, it's a no-no. They'll leave. They'll leave. If it's harming my kids, I'm gone. So that's one way. I want to reach out to kids and let them know that when you're going through that situation, don't be so quiet about the situation. I never talked about it. Because
do you think they should talk to their parents? Should they talk to someone at the school? Should they talk to someone in their church if they go to church, or grandparents? Or are you saying for them just to reach out and talk to someone about their feelings so they don't carry everything inside?
Yeah, that's one way. Reach out. Don't hold it all inside, because like I say, everybody is not as strong as I say I was in the situation. Because for me, it was every time we went a week without my mother getting hit. I took that as it built me up. Then I went a month without my mother getting hit. And then once we got totally out the situation, it went to years and years and years of nobody touching my mother, nobody touching my son. To me, that was healing.
Okay.
But everybody don't look at it like that. So if you talk about it, especially when you're in a situation as a child, talk to your mother. Let her know. Because like I said, if that mother, because they can't see that. They really, truly don't see that. Because when my mother read my book, the first thing she told me when she called me back, she said, if I knew what you were going to, I would have left a long time ago. And that was my whole goal for writing this book.
I love that. And that's a very, very powerful message. So you out there, if you know of someone that's in an abusive situation, or if you're in an abusive situation and you have children, because first of all, number one, we care about you, and you really don't want to put yourself or stay in a situation where someone can take your life or they can hurt you, so much so that it causes permanent damage. We don't want that for you. So first, look out for, I say your kids first, but then secondly for yourself, of course. So when it comes to your children, definitely make sure you get this book Growing Up in It so you can have a better understanding of what that child is going through. Because just as Ronnie said, a lot of times you're caught up in what you're going through and you don't really realize how much is affecting your kids. So it's very powerful book. Definitely one that I think all parents should read. So just so that, because you may not have abuse in your home, but you may not even think about that some of the things that you do can affect your kids in a negative way. We know that some of the things that we do can affect our kids in a positive way, and that's great. But reading this book may help you even look as a parent at things a lot differently too. So I would suggest to get the book and to read it. Now, Ronnie Lackey Jr. is also one of our featured authors. And so if you want to meet him, you definitely can do that. I'm going to put some information up for you, but you definitely can do it at a conference we have coming up. It's the 2021 Impact and Influence Authors Conference. That's going to be March 26th through the 28th. I want to make it a week-long event. And it's going to be at Embassy Suites in Duluth, Georgia. I tried to talk and swallow at the same time. It's going to be a wonderful, dynamic experience, and it is a free event for our guests coming out. Free event, you'll get a chance to meet 14 of our featured authors. Again, Ronnie is there, and you'll be able to pick up his book and get it signed. And guess what? We also have VIP for those of you who like the VIP treatment. VIP seating and experience is only $50 for the whole week. Now, come on, you can't beat that. I spend that on a lot of things. Well, especially like if I go out and get crab legs or something. But anyway, it's you want to spend your money in something that's going to be a blessing to you. But if you don't want to spend any money as far as coming out to an event, come on out there and make sure that you come because it's free and tell other people about it. But don't just come empty-handed, because you do want to walk away with some books from some dynamic authors. So make sure you come ready to support these authors and especially my listeners out there who love to read, or you're in a book club, or you just like to hear different stories, or you want to be entertained, or you want to be educated, because it's so many different things that you're going to learn in this conference, and so many fun things to do, like an evening with the literary stars. So you'll have a dining experience to be able to dine with our literary stars. Now, I know you guys are looking to say, where can I get this information? Well, guess what? You can go right there to LadyKnightEnterprisesPublishing.com, and you can find information about the conference there. Make sure you sign up as early as possible, because there is limited seating, and we are wanting to make sure we stay in compliance with what the CDC says about social distancing, and also making sure we keep everyone safe. So believe me, we go above and beyond. As you guys always hear me say, we go above and beyond because we want to set the standards for the new way that we experience life and going out to events. So come on out and have a great time with us. Go to the website right there. And also, if you're interested in publishing, of course, I do have a publishing company, and you're welcome to reach out to one of our consultants with information on that as well. So, Ronnie, are you excited about this conference?
Yes, I am.
Awesome. Totally great. I am excited to hear you speak and to be able to go into more details and be in your author session. He will be having an author session, guys, and it'll give you a chance to come out and be able to talk to him and get some more insight. And again, to purchase this book, Growing Up in It. And it is a very good book, like I said, especially for those who are in domestic violence situations or dating violence situations, or just for a parent, because, it's good to have a little insight. As you know, for me, those of you who've been following the show, whether it's my show here, and by the way, the show is on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're always going to bring a dynamic author on for you to learn about and to learn about their books. And then you can also view my show, Real Talk with Rhonda Knight. Yes, that's right, Real Talk with Rhonda Knight, and that's Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. as well. So make sure you tune into that too, okay? But as I was saying, with this book, it's so important, again, that you pick up this book and you make a difference. And for me, it's really, really, my heart goes out for children. I have a weak spot for kids and for elderly people. So when it comes to kids being able to grow up healthy, that's very important to me. Those who have followed me and who have purchase some of the books that I've put out there, that we have a series of books to help kids with tough issues like this in a kid-friendly manner so that they can be able to grow up nice and healthy and not take what happened to them as a child into their adulthood, which can affect their life positively or negatively. And we don't want that for them. We don't want them to carry the burdens on them. I heard you say, Ronnie, that you had a lot of things going on inside when you were a child and you were trying to be that man, that little man that your mom called you, and take on that responsibility. What were some of the things that you carried during that time that really, really bothered you as a kid? I know you mentioned a little bit about when you thought you didn't do exactly what you intended to do, or you didn't protect someone like you thought you could.
Yeah, well, that was the biggest thing, the protection part.
Mm-hmm.
When if I went out to spend the night and I came home and he had jumped on my mom,
Mm-hmm.
I would get down on myself, beat myself up because, okay, you going out and having fun is more important than your job,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that.
That's a big responsibility for a child to have, to just carry on their shoulders, to think that you can't have fun as a child because you feel like it's your position to take on that responsibility, which is really not a responsibility any child should have to carry. So again, when I tell you folks, it is very important you read this book because that's a lot. Think about the pressure you put on kids. Did you guys know that kids as young as 5 years old commit suicide? And that's unthinkable in our mind because we just can imagine a child could be going through so much that they would think to do something like that. So when we can make a difference with books like this, like I said, if you know someone going through domestic violence or dating violence and they have children, pass this information on to them. Like Ronnie said, his mom didn't even really realize what was going on with her child. And that's a whole lot to carry for a child. So Ronnie, when you were in the home, and if your dad was abusive at the point when you were in the home, did you try to get between him and your mom, or, and if you did, were you hurt?
Well, first the individual that it was my brother's dad.
Okay.
My mother and my dad, they split up when I was 2.
Okay.
So he never really, when the tussle, I get pushed down or something like that, but he never put his hands on me because, like I said before, my mom didn't play that. Nobody could discipline her kids. Nobody, and you battle, and like I said, you'll even see in the story where I battle with that. I didn't understand it. Like, can't nobody touch us. You care that much, and you'll go crazy and ruin the whole world over us, but you're letting this man hit you. So, I battle with that. So,
well, now, you have a daughter, and
yes.
So having a daughter, do you sit down and have a conversation with her on the type of men or people that, I don't know, how old is your daughter?
My daughter's 14.
14, so she's a teenager. Do you feel like, if you haven't, do you feel like at a certain point you're going to sit down with her and help her to understand what is acceptable and what is not acceptable? Because in our society today, I see so many young girls that think it's okay for someone to hit on them, think it's okay for someone to take their money and, pay for everything that, they pay for everything that the guy is doing when they go on a date, because we know that there's other types of abuse. There can be, mental abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, as well as, the whole thing with the money situation. So a lot of young people just don't get it. They think that those things are okay. So what advice would you give your daughter if you haven't already? And what advice would you give teenage girls that may be on social media right now listening?
Again, like I said, I've always took that role of, so yes, I do talk to my daughter. I've actually talked to, like I said, every woman that's close to me. I have a rule in which when you start dating someone seriously, I need to sit down, talk to him. I want to talk to him one-on-one, let him know what is acceptable and what is not, what I will accept as a brother, father, and all that. I let the guy know. Look, I'm a married man, been married for a long time. I've never put my hands on my wife. I expect the same out of you, and that's basically the conversation I have with them, and I let my sister know and everybody know, like, look, this is not acceptable. You don't accept anybody putting your hands on you. There's nothing that in any situation that is right about that. So, I've always talked to my sister. I've always talked to my baby sister strongly about that. My nieces. I mean, I'm on everybody. And like I say, anybody in my family that's close to me, when they meet someone, I need to have a meeting with your guy. And I do. And I'm not the biggest thing, but guess what? That's my rule.
All right, I hear you. I like it. I like it. Well, even in speaking with it on this subject too, when it comes to our young people, do you feel that it's advisable for parents with teenage boys, and I would say even from elementary or around the age you were, which was 10 years old, on up to when they go into the teenage time? Do you think that is very important for a father figure or a male figure in the family to talk to young men about the proper way to treat a woman, so that you can kind of maybe stop it or before it even happens? So what's your thoughts on that?
Yes. I'm just as hard on the guys, my nephews and stuff, as I am, the girls. I had an instance one time when I was going somewhere with my godmom, and I opened the car door for her. I went and held the door. We was going into a restaurant, and a lady was like, "Wow," an older lady. She was like, "Wow," and she was just looking, and we were like, "What's wrong?" She's like, "Guys don't do that anymore." She was like, "No, all my boys do. All my boys open doors. All my boys, So that's something that I always, all my brothers and stuff, we always on to the young man. Like, we don't like the pants sagging. Look, that's disrespectful to the girls. Pull your pants up. Don't walk around us like that. Don't walk around my daughter like that. So I'm just as hard as them as I am my daughter now, because you got to get them young and let them know that, look, that's not the way, to act or treat a woman, So I try to be example. That's the first thing that I do. I try to lead by example.
Okay.
So if they see me do right, then you got an example of what to do and what not to do.
That is true. That's true. Good, good, good. So again, like I said, his book, Growing Up in It, this is author Ronnie Lackey Jr. He's talking to you guys with some great advice. Make sure that you take note on what he's saying as far as how to impart into our young people. You may not be a parent, but you may have nieces and nephews. You may have cousins or whomever, but as an adult, I think it takes all of us to make a difference. So even if you don't have children, speak to our young people, teach them some things, give them some principles. It's so much stuff they get caught up in nowadays that they don't even, maybe not even have the people or in their family that will take the time, because a lot of times we as adults get caught up in our work. We get caught up in, what's going on in our world right now. And you forget that you've got that child there, that the time is passing by and they're growing up. And next thing you know, they're going to be an adult, but you never got a chance to really impart to them what it is to be a good adult and a responsible adult as well. So take the time to do that, guys, and make sure you get his book, Growing Up in It, and come out to the conference. I definitely want to see you there. Listen, also, make sure when you go to my website, let me put that back up. Excuse me. I want you guys to go to the Impact and Influence Authors Association page, because there you can learn about how to be a part of our association. So if you're an author, or if you love to read, or if you are an aspiring author, or if you just want to be a supporter of a great organization that's putting out positive materials, the people that's part of the organization, go there and sign up as a member, because we want to make a strong membership of people across the country. We've got a lot of people in there already, and you need to be one of them as well, so we can make a difference in this world. My whole thing is, I believe that we should leave a living legacy of people who want to make a difference, people who want to get involved, people who want to see change, positive change in the world. So writing is a great way to express that. Now, Ronnie, I heard you say you wrote poetry and then you wrote this book too. So are you thinking about writing any more books, or you want to make a book of poetry, or what's your next step as an author?
Yes, I have several books in my head. Steve Harvey beat me on the what about a woman thing that he wrote, that book, sort of kind of like that. I procrastinated with that book. I had that sitting up, so I had to chunk that one because he beat me on that one. I mean,
well, you can still do it from your perspective, because yours might be a little bit different than his. So who knows?
Yeah. I have a couple of books in my head. I have a book, of course, about growing up without a father. Okay. I have a fun book that I'm going to do. It's called The Player's Code.
Okay.
So, you know, I'm trying to.
Interesting title, y'all. I wonder what that's about.
So, you know.
Well, Ronnie, what would you say to aspiring authors out there? What advice would you give someone that really, really wants to write and they haven't started yet, or they might have started, but they don't know what direction to go? What would you say to that person listening right now?
The first thing to do is just get started. Just start writing. The key point that I learned in this process is when you're writing, you have to be very, very detailed. Your reader wants to know everything, you know, because when I first started writing, my writing coach, she was like, "No, we need more, baby. You got to give me more." Because I was just like, "Okay, yeah, we went here this Saturday and this happened." She was like, "Okay, well, what time was it? What was the weather like?" You know, I mean, all those details come out when you're actually writing. You know, so you have to be very, very detailed.
I agree. And just do it, guys. If you're looking at wanting to write, just start writing and it will come together. Come on, believe me. If that's part of your passion and your dream, live that dream. Life is so short. Do the things it takes that's going to bring happiness and joy in your life. Okay. Well, I want to say we're about to wrap up now, but don't forget to go to Lady Night Enterprises Publishing and sign up there if you're interested in coming on the show. Also, sign up for the Authors Conference. Here's that information again, too. The 2021 Impact and Influence Authors Conference, March 26th through the 28th. That's a Friday through Sunday, a 3-day event. And again, it is free, and you're going to meet dynamic authors. You're also going to we have some wonderful vendors there. And we also have the 2021 Impact and Influence Author of the Year ceremony, and that is going to be a beautiful affair. And when I say we do it big, we do it big. We do it with royalty, okay? And so you're going to love it. So lots of fun details. When you go to the website, you'll be able to see everything that's going to go on and the different sessions. You'll also be able to see, well, no, I think I didn't put it on there, the number, what day people are speaking. But that way you need to come out and see when Ronnie is speaking so you can meet him and get your book signed by him, along with the other authors that are featured as well. So again, I want to thank you guys for tuning in to the show. Make sure you share this video and also follow me, guys, like and subscribe, because that's going to help us get this out to as many people as we can. But share the video too, because you never know when you post on social media this video who you may be helping that is in a situation right now where they need to have a better understanding of how what they're in is affecting their kids. So let's do our part. All right. I do want to say thank you, Ronnie. I appreciate you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
To you guys. And to you all, I would love to see you tomorrow on Real Talk with Rhonda Night at 7 p.m. And then again, Real Talk. All right. Let me give a shout out to my girl, Tasima. Tasima J has an event tomorrow that I'll be at and participating in. So I won't be on tomorrow, but I'll see you guys back on Wednesday with our next author. And remember, you authors out there, you could be that next one. So you guys have a great week. And I have enjoyed you, Ronnie, and thanks so much for coming on the show. See you guys next time.